Hey everyone, and welcome to The Gaming Current, a brand new podcast from your friends here at GameEels. Get ready to dive deep into the latest and greatest from the world of gaming.
We're talking more than just headlines here. We'll be exploring those intriguing details, those hidden gems, and those, moments that make the gaming world so exciting.
Exactly. Think of this as your backstage pass to the gaming industry. Each episode will be dissecting the news, unpacking the trends, and of course, sharing our own insights, hopefully, without causing too many arguments along the way.
Well, there might be some playful disagreements, especially when we get to those early access titles that have folks fired up. Speaking of which...
we had to kick things off with a healthy dose of controversy. Let's talk about No More Room in Hell 2, which recently landed on Steam. We've got zombie hordes, we've got player reactions hotter than a freshly loaded shotgun, and we've got some fascinating questions about early access.
It's definitely been an interesting launch, to say the least. On the one hand, we saw a massive surge of players jumping into the action on day one, nearly 15,000 at its peak, which is no small feat for an indie title.
That's a whole lot of zombie slang. But here's where things get interesting. Despite those impressive player numbers, the game is facing a bit of a backlash, with mostly negative reviews on Steam.
Yeah, a lot of the criticism seems to stem from the game's $29.99 price tag combined with its early access state. Players are reporting bugs, performance hiccups, and a general feeling that it might have been released a little too early.
And that brings up a larger point, doesn't it? The whole early access model can be tricky. On one hand, it allows developers to involve their community and fund further development, but on the other hand, it also creates this expectation gap.
Precisely. Players are often torn between wanting to support a game's development and feeling like they're paying a premium for an unfinished product. It's a delicate balance, and No More Room in Hell 2 seems to be right at the center of that conversation.
Totally. Now, in fairness to the devs, Torn Banner Studios has been very transparent about their roadmap, outlining plans for more content, including new maps, weapons, even more zombie types, the good stuff. Plus, they're promising performance enhancements and even a second game mode.
It seems like they're taking the feedback to heart, and that's encouraging. But it does beg the question, does this initial wave of negativity reflect legitimate concerns? Or are some players being a bit too quick to judge an unfinished game? What do you think?
That is the question, isn't it? And it's one we'll likely be wrestling with more and more as early access becomes increasingly common. It's a tricky tightrope walk for both developers and players. But enough about brain-eating mayhem for now. Let's switch gears to something a bit more, delicious.
You read my mind. Let's talk about Magical Delicacy, a game that's like a warm fuzzy blanket knitted from equal parts Stardew Valley, Hollow Knight, and a dash of pure Halloween magic.
I am here for this. We've been dying to dig into this one.
So imagine this. You step into the pointy shoes of Flora, a charming witch who decides to open a shop called, you guessed it, Flora's Magical Delicacies.
In a town called Grat, where magic is about as commonplace as a pumpkin spice latte in October.
Now, don't be fooled by the adorable pixel art and the promise of sugary treats. Magical Delicacy is more than just a simple cooking sim. The gameplay loop is surprisingly complex. Think Stardew Valley, but with a magical twist.
We're talking specific recipes that require gathering ingredients through farming, foraging, and trading. You've got to manage your time, master different cooking techniques. There's real depth to it.
Oh, and did we mention the Metroidvania element?
Because yes, it's not all about whipping up enchanted eclairs. There's a whole world to explore, secrets to uncover, and yes, even some light platforming to test your skills.
And this is where the game gets really interesting. While Magical Delicacy is generally praised for its charm and addictive gameplay, the platforming aspects have sparked some debate.
Really? Tell me more.
Some players find the platforming challenging, even a tad unforgiving, which clashes with the overall cozy vibe the game cultivates. It's like biting into a delicious cookie and discovering a bit of unexpected spice.
A cozy game with a dash of challenge, eh? Now that is intriguing. For anyone curious about dipping their toes into this enchanting world, there's a demo available on Steam right now. But be warned, you might just find yourself utterly charmed and craving more.
Speaking of spooky vibes with a unique twist,
let's talk about Blumhouse Productions and their spooky new game, Fear the Spotlight.
It's fascinating to see a studio known for its horror films dipping their toes into the gaming world, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive, especially when compared to, shall we say, other recent releases that shall remain nameless.
Well, you mean the ones that felt more like fan service than a fully realized game?
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah.
But Fear the Spotlight, this one feels different. It's like they took the best parts of 1990s survival horror, think Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and distilled it into something fresh and terrifying.
And it's all in the atmosphere, the way they use lighting, sound design, even camera angles to create this constant sense of dread. It's masterful.
It's giving me serious PS1 era chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But for those who haven't experienced the fear firsthand, let's set the stage. Two high school friends, Vivian and Amy, decide to dabble in a little after-school seance. What could possibly go wrong, right?
Well, let's just say things take a turn for the terrifying when Amy vanishes and Vivian finds herself face to face with a creature that has a spotlight for a head. And trust me, this is not a friendly neighborhood lamp.
Nope, this thing is bad news. And the way you fight back is what really sets Fear the Spotlight apart. You spend a lot of time exploring the environment, solving puzzles, very reminiscent of those classic Resident Evil puzzles. But the real challenge is avoiding that deadly spotlight.
It's a masterclass in tension building, no cheap jump scares here. Instead, it's all about strategic movement, careful resource management, and that ever-present feeling that you're being hunted.
And did we mention that your health bar is literally Vivian's lungs? The more time you spend exposed to the spotlight, the harder it is for her to breathe, the less stamina she has. It's such a clever mechanic that adds this whole other layer of intensity to the gameplay.
It's brilliant. And it speaks to the developer's understanding of what makes classic survival horror so effective. It's not just about being chased by monsters, it's about the psychological toll, the feeling of being trapped and helpless.
And Fear the Spotlight nails that feeling perfectly. And speaking of things that go bump in the night and suck your time away like a digital vampire, we have to talk about the Vampire Survivors Castlevania DLC that dropped just in time for Halloween.
Talk about a match made in gaming heaven. Well, maybe not heaven exactly, more like a crypt somewhere, filled with gothic charm, catchy tunes, and enough weapons to arm a small army of vampire slayers.
This DLC is huge E. It's the biggest one we've seen for Vampire Survivors so far. And it packs a serious punch for a surprisingly budget-friendly price of $3.99.
Seriously, it's less than a pumpkin spice latte for hours of gameplay. We're talking over 20 new characters, including iconic Belmonts like Richter, Simon, and Trevor, plus a whole coven of Dracula's finest.
Yeah, the weapons. Over 40 new ways to vanquish those pixelated creatures of the night, from classic whips and holy water to some truly bizarre and wonderful additions that'll have you saying, they just throw that in there.
And let's not forget the music. They've remixed over 30 classic Castlevania tracks, perfectly capturing that gothic chiptune-infused sound that we know and love. It's like a symphony of vampire slaying.
It's pure ear candy, I tell you. Vampire Survivors has always been this addictive, just one more run kind of game. And this DLC just throws gasoline on that fire. It's the perfect blend of nostalgia, chaotic action, and that special something that keeps you coming back for more, even if it means sacrificing a few hours of sleep.
And it speaks to the power of indie collaborations, doesn't it? Vampire Survivors, with its retro aesthetic and simple yet addictive gameplay, seemed to come out of nowhere. And now it's collaborating with these huge franchises, introducing them to a whole new generation of gamers.
It's a testament to the creativity and innovation that we're seeing in the indie space right now.
Yeah.
Games like Vampire Survivors, Magical Delicacy, even No More Room in Hell 2 in its own way, they remind us that there's always something new to discover, something to get excited about, even when the big budget titles leave us feeling a bit underwhelmed. And that's what makes the gaming world so exciting right now. There's this incredible diversity of experiences out there, from cozy cooking adventures with a spooky twist, to heart-pounding survival horror that takes us back to the glory days of gaming.
It's like, we've got something for everyone, no matter your taste. Or your tolerance for jump scares.
Exactly. And speaking of trying new things, I'm curious, what are some of the games that have surprised you lately? The ones that exceeded your expectations, or maybe the ones that left you wanting more?
You know, Magical Delicacy really snuck up on me. I went in expecting a simple, charming cooking game. And I found myself captivated by the depth of the gameplay, the world building, and yes, even the challenging platforming.
I hear you on that. Those platforming sections definitely separate the casual bakers from the hardcore pastry chef.
They do, but in a way that's part of the charm, isn't it? It's that unexpected twist, that challenge that keeps you on your toes.
Totally. And it's a good reminder that even in a medium as established as gaming, there's always something new to discover, something to challenge our perceptions of what a game can be.
Absolutely. And that's what we're all about here at GameEels, right? Exploring those uncharted territories, shining a light on the games that deserve more attention, and having some fun along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to all our listeners out there, whether you're seasoned veterans or just starting your gaming journey, we want to hear from you.
What games have caught your eye lately? What trends are you excited about? And what would you like us to dive into next time?
Head over to the GameEels website, find the Gaming Current page, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We might even feature your suggestions in a future episode.
Because at the end of the day, gaming is all about sharing those experiences, those moments of joy, frustration, and everything in between.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap things up for our very first episode of the Gaming Current.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of gaming. We'll see you next time for more insights, analysis, and of course, our signature blend of gaming passion.
Until then, keep playing, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep those controllers charged.